You know that feeling, right? When you're stuck in a really frustrating situation, maybe a crazy long line, a delayed flight, or a massive traffic jam, and you look around and see how differently everyone is reacting. Some people are totally chill, while others look like they're about to lose it. So, what's really going on there? Let's dive in and figure it out. Okay, so let's paint a picture. This is a classic example from the research. We've got two drivers, both stuck in the exact same gridlock traffic. Both are headed to an important business meeting. Driver number one, she's cool as a cucumber. She just kind of accepts it, phones her assistant to say she'll be late, and then, uses the downtime to call her sister and catch up. But driver number two, oh, she's having a totally different experience. She's hitting the steering wheel, just fuming. And to make it all worse, her phone's dead, she feels completely trapped, and with every single minute that ticks by, her agitation, her heart rate, her stress levels are just going through the roof. So this is the big question, right? It's the exact same event, the same potential stressor. So why in the world do they have such polar opposite reactions? Well, the answer isn't in the traffic jam. It's in their heads. To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to talk about the work of two American psychologists, Richard Lazarus and Susan Folkman. Back in the 80s, they came up with this really groundbreaking idea that completely changed how we think about stress. They said it's not just an event, it's a dynamic transaction between a person and their environment. And really, their entire idea can be boiled down to this one super powerful quote. Lazarus and Folkman argued that stress isn't about what happens to you, it's about how you interpret what happens to you. The meaning you give an event, that's everything. So here's the official breakdown. Their transactional model says that stress is this transaction, this back and forth, and our response to it depends completely on our appraisal, which is really just a fancy word for how we size up the situation, how we judge it. So we're not just passively getting stressed out, we are active participants in the whole process. And this whole appraisal thing happens in a quick two-step sequence. First up is the primary appraisal, where we ask, what's at stake? And right after that comes the secondary appraisal, where we ask, can I handle it? Let's break those down. So let's start with step one, primary appraisal. This is our first gut reaction. It's that instant judgment call where we decide if this situation even matters to us. In this stage, your brain is subconsciously firing off questions like, is this even something I need to deal with? Or am I in some kind of trouble here? You're basically deciding if the event is totally irrelevant, if it's a good thing, or if it's potentially stressful. Now, if you do decide the situation is stressful, your brain gets even more specific. You might see it as harm or loss, damage that's already happened, like, oh no, I've already lost my job. Or you could see it as a threat, the potential for bad stuff to happen in the future, like I might not be able to pay my rent. Or, and this is the interesting one, you could see it as a challenge, an opportunity for growth, like, okay, this is my chance to find a new job and learn how to manage my money better. Okay, so once you've sized up what's at stake, you immediately pivot to step two, secondary appraisal. And this part is all about you. Here, the question becomes super personal. Okay, what can I do about this? You start taking stock of your coping options and all the resources you have at your disposal to deal with whatever you've just decided is happening. And these resources, they can be internal things like your own willpower, your grit, your past experiences that taught you how to handle stuff like this, or they can be external, things like money in the bank or a solid group of friends and family you can call for support. And here it is. This is the magic formula for stress. According to this model, we feel stressed out when there's a mismatch, when we decide that the demands of the situation are bigger than our ability and resources to deal with them. That gap, that's where stress lives. So, why is this so important? Why is this such a game changer? Because it shifts the power away from the thing that's happening out there and puts it right back into our own hands. Let's see how this actually works. Now, let's go back to our two drivers, because this is where it all just clicks into place. Our calm driver, her primary appraisal is basically, this is no big deal. It's a benign event. Her secondary appraisal, her resources are way bigger than the demands. She's got a working phone, she can call her assistant, she's fine. But the stressed driver, her primary appraisal is, this is awful. It's a threat to her meeting, to her whole day. And her secondary appraisal, the demands feel way bigger than her resources. Her phone is dead, she feels totally powerless. See? Same traffic jam, but two completely different realities, all created by their appraisals. Now, of course, no model is perfect. And while the transactional model is incredibly powerful for understanding the psychology of stress, it's only fair to look at both its strengths and its limitations. The huge strengths are: one, it focuses on psychological stuff we can actually control, our own thinking. It also beautifully explains why you and I might react totally differently to the same event. And it sees us as active players in our own lives, not just passive victims of stress. Plus, it allows for change. You can always reappraise a situation as you get more information. On the other hand, its main weakness is that it's really hard to test in a lab. I mean, how do you scientifically measure someone's private, subjective thoughts? Critics also point out that these appraisals can happen so fast they're almost unconscious, and that the model kind of downplays the purely physical, biological side of our stress response. But even with those limitations, the model gives us this one incredibly powerful takeaway, and it's this: your appraisal, your interpretation, the story you tell yourself about what's happening, it doesn't just influence your reality, it pretty much becomes your reality. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. The next time you feel that pressure building up, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself right now? Is this a threat, or could this actually be a challenge? Because as we've seen, your answer might just change everything.